Hey guys, tonight we are having some pork chops for dinner. I'm going to show you how I cook my pork chops and how they're going to come out nice and tender every time. So stay with me. So we're going to take this and we are going to tenderize this pork chop. And these are a pork loin rib chop. And they're supposed to be thin, but these look like they're about 3/4 of an inch. So I want to pound these out just a little bit so that we have nice tender pork chops. Okay, so I have started to preheat my skillet right here, and I have it on about a medium-high setting. Let me put you back here without making you seasick. And I put about 4 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the pan. The vegetable oil is a really good choice for cooking these pork chops because we're going to fry them. And we want to make sure that we got a good oil to start with. So first thing I'm going to do is season these chops before I flour them. So I'm going to start off with some pepper. Now we're going to season both sides. And then we have some of the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse. This is really, really good. If you've never tried it, you might want to give this a try. It's a really good seasoning. So I'm going to put just a little bit on each side. Kind of massage that in a little bit. Turn it over and do the same on the other side. Now this already has sodium in it. We are kind of watching our sodium a little bit, so I'm not going to salt these since there's already salt in this. And I'm going to use just a little bit of this garlic powder. Just a little bit on each side. Now I'm choosing to season these before I flour them because I want to make sure that it gets a really good flavor on these chops. Okay. Now we are going to flour these. And then right into that skillet we go with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and season these once I get into the skillet. You want to make sure that you don't crowd your pan. So see, I put that right in there, and the temperature is just about right to get that going. Now since these chops aren't very thick, I'm just going to make sure they're nice and brown. So probably they're going to cook for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side at the most. I don't want to overcook them since they are very thin pork, and we want these to be tender and juicy. Tender and juicy is key here. And we're going in with the next one. There we go. Okay, so we're only going to cook 2 chops tonight because there's just 2 of us eating. We're going to turn these when they're nice golden brown, and then we're going to let them brown on the other side as well. Okay, let's check these chops and see how they're doing. Oh, there you go. So these have been cooking on a medium-high for 4 minutes. And all this goodness here that's cooking in the pan, if you were going to make mashed potatoes and gravy, you can make your gravy out of the drippings in this pan, and it's a very, very delicious cream gravy. Don't those look delicious? There we go. So the first thing we did was the burner is on about a medium low because we want to make sure that the flour cooks. So I'm just sprinkling in some flour, and I'm using about 1/3 of a cup to start. I want enough flour that is going to pick up all those delicious juices and flavors. There we go. But not so much that it's going to be, you know, too much, since it only showed us. So I would say that's about 1/3 of a cup of flour that I put into the skillet. Now the next step is we want to make sure that we brown this flour and we cook it, because if we don't cook out that flour taste, it's going to be kind of pasty. So at this point, I like to go ahead and season, and I just season it with some salt and pepper. We like a lot of pepper, so that's probably about a teaspoon of pepper. And then I'm going to go in with some salt, and I use sea salt. And the sea salt, we're going to put about the same amount in there. And then just keep stirring it so we don't burn it. If we burn the flour in the pan, our gravy is not going to be very tasty. So making pan gravy is pretty easy. You can make pan gravy out of whatever meat that you fry. If you get too much oil in your pan after you're done frying, then go ahead and drain some of that oil off. But make sure you're leaving the drippings. And when I say the drippings, I mean like the little pieces of meat or flour that has fallen off and gotten really brown, because that is going to flavor your gravy really, really nicely. Okay? And I know I'm a broken record, but I use evaporated milk whenever I make gravy. And it's equal parts evaporated milk to equal parts water. So right here I've got about 3/4 of a cup of milk, and I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of water in here. And then when we get ready and the flour's all browned up, we're going to start adding that in a little at a time. Now, if you wind up adding a little too much and you don't think it's thickening quite right, then all you're going to do is let it simmer and continue to cook until it reaches the correct consistency. Don't go in and try to add more flour to this. Once we've added the liquid, that won't work and it will ruin your gravy. So just make sure that, you know, like I said, if it doesn't seem like it's quite thick enough, let it simmer. It will thicken up to the desired consistency. Okay. I'm going to turn my burner up a little bit to about a medium high now. As you can see, this flour has browned up nicely. So it's time to go ahead and put the milk in. So I usually start with about half and see how that works for me. And then I go ahead and put the rest in. And it looks like I'm going to need all of it. So I'm going to just go ahead and put it all in there. Now, if you need more, certainly add more. There we go. And see how that flour is kind of breaking up in there. And make sure as you're stirring that you're scraping along the bottom, because you want to make sure you get all those flavors off the bottom. And we're going to continue to stir so it doesn't stick. You can serve this with biscuits. You can serve it over mashed potatoes. You could serve it over rice, or you can put it over your pork chop. You can just about drink this gravy, it's that good. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back down to low. And then I continue to cook it for another minute or two, just to make sure that it's, you know, it's all blended and everything is cooked in there. And remember, what's the last thing we do before we serve our food? We taste it. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. That is gonna be just right. So I used 1/3 of a cup of flour, and I used 3/4 of a cup of evaporated milk and 3/4 cup of water. Okay, I have my spoon, and we're gonna go in for a taste test of this. Oh, that's just right. I can't believe I got the seasoning 100% correct on that. It's absolutely perfect. And there you have it. That wasn't too difficult. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay, we have our meal, and it's complete, as you can see. Tonight we're having our pork chop, and the pan gravy is under the pork chop. We have some beefy rice to go with that, and some green beans. So let's give that a try. Oh, yum. That is super, super tender. Lots of flavor. If you guys are having trouble getting your pork chops to come out tender and juicy, and I mean juicy and flavorful, get your mallet out and pound the pork chop a couple of times on each side. Put your seasoning on, then flour it and fry it. I fried this chop for 4 minutes on the first side. I turned it down just a little bit from a medium high is what I did the front side. And then I turned it down to a medium low on the back side. And I cooked the back side for 3 minutes. So a total of 7 minutes on these thin pork chops, and they came out beautifully. I also let them rest for about 3 minutes before we served them. So there you have it. Tender pork chops with homemade pan gravy. And I just made a beefy rice and some green beans, and dinner's on. Thanks a lot for watching, you guys. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate you watching. Have a great night. Bye now.